Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tonight, I want to talk about the inappropriate behavior of blacks in America. Also, could be understood by some of being off code. And I have noticed today from an event that happened with me, an event of my elderly mother telling me something about one of her associates. When she asked me about some behaviors of black people who hate other black people or have a preference of whites over blacks. And another is when certain blacks are off code about black topics where the perpetrator or the person who is non-black is attacking a black person due to his skin color or social status. They come to the defense of the white person. Dr. Claude Anderson, which I read a lot of, I think majority of his books, and he has two books I think we need to take a look at. One of them is called Paranomics, and the other book is called Black Labor, White Wealth. Both of them are good books. I believe Black Labor and White Wealth is his first book, and Paranomics is his second book. Dr. Claude Anderson wrote about inappropriate behavior. It could also be understood on the layman term of being off code, right? And he talks about there are many types of inappropriate behavior ranging from the classic sample. A sample is a black person who portray his own race and gain personal profit, to a militant with an attitude of blacker than thou arrogance, inappropriate behavior, and the manifestation of the intentionally softening of the competitor or the competitive impulsive to an individual or group to the point that everything is turned upside down and backwards. The individual or group is inclined to compete among themselves and ally with outsiders rather than ally with members of their own group to compete against outsiders, right? What is even more troublesome is the inappropriate behavior teaches whites and others how to treat black people. If black people want to change how they are treated, they must change what they are teaching their competitors, right? So he's writing more. He said, below we will briefly discuss a few of the most common and destructive categories and of inappropriate behaviors. Conclusions with the competitors, right? That's one of them. So social etiquette, right? And avoiding blackness and whiter white ice is colder, right? So in the events today that happened, the one my mother asked when somebody who was black had a preference over whites than the black person, that's the ice. The white ice is colder, right? Maybe one day we'll talk about it. The other one is avoiding blackness, right? The other one is the conclusion with the competitor, right? That's the common one. And the one I want to talk about is the social etiquette, right? Black patterns in this category appear to stem directly from old social or Southern racial etiquette. To one of the major accomplishments of the Black Civil Rights Movement of the 1960s was to modify some of their social etiquette that traditionally exists between black and white. Many blacks across America, especially in the South and Midwest, continue to honor old social customs. They avoid situations that make them appear free, independent, and active in shaping their own lives. They are perfectly happy to go to work or to church or look at television and then go to bed, they still know their place and know how to play um, get to low. To them, what happens to black people locally or anywhere else is a little concern. They want to appear as the good Negro, content, happy, compromising, and non-competitive. A good Negro or safe black person seeks approval of whites. These whites will never speak up nor speak out on black issues, nor will they defend against black injustice, right? The other one is avoiding blackness, right? And the other one is conclusion with the competitors, right? So conclusion with the competitors, this is the type of behavior that is visual in coloration of building. It is without a doubt that the most troubling for the race because it's a strategy used by so many members of the Black American leaders or leadership class. Although correlation building is a popular concept, right? So here it means that blacks will choose their competitor, then choose their own people. A lack of better words, uh, uh, they rather uh, build something with their outsiders, working with them, and don't build with their own. Right? That's what that means. Right? I only want to talk about the social etiquette and white ice is colder. Right? And avoiding blackness. Right? So when we look about inappropriate behaviors, it can also be understood as being off code, right? What it means to be off code. For example, and this is part of the inappropriate behaviors that some blacks have. For example, I think I was reading somebody comment who was saying that in their workplace, and this is the common one I hear a lot of blacks talk about. In the workplace, where the blacks are few and the majority are non-blacks or might even run the management or part of the management team, and there's only a few blacks, we will find that when they're together, when everybody is together, that one or two black or one or a few black people who work there, one of them always want to single out the other black person to get points with management, right? Some will call this ground nosing. Some might call this we have other words for this, but this is part of being a sample, and it's part of being from the inappropriate behavior. The next one is that I see a lot in the African American Muslim community, especially in the multiple community, that when black people in the multiple community, especially the African American Muslim community, where they're in a Muslim community where the majority of people are not black, and there's just a few black peoples, or the master community is mixed, but is in a predominantly black poor area, is that the black individuals there, some of them, they don't care about black issues, and they would jump on the side of those non-blacks who have anti-black sentiments or do things that harm the black community. They side with them, and they say they're siding with them because these foreigners, Muslims who are foreigners, they're their real brothers in Islam. So they would side with them even when they're wrong. I've seen this a lot myself. I have witnessed this myself. Matter of fact, I have partake in something like this myself. So I know about the sample and the inappropriate behaviors in the black community. And we still have this inappropriate behavior. It exists with us. It exists with us. It happens in the It happens in the masjid. It happens in the church. Sometimes it happens every day in politics in America. Most black politicians are shambles. They are sellouts, and they just use blacks for the votes and do nothing in their best interests. So we have this in politics. We have this on the competitive level when it comes to doing business or working together. When people would choose, instead of buying from the local black person, he will buy from the white person because because the white man ice is colder, it's better. He believes that the white man ice is colder because the person who's selling it is white. That is what Dr. Clark Anderson intend in that section of his book in Powernomics. The white ice is better, right? That means that the black person, they will say, I'd rather buy ice from the white store instead of buying ice from the black store. Because he thinks because the ice is ice in general, ice is ice. He might feel that because the white man is doing it or the white man is selling it, it's better. If you can see this on a next level when it comes to the educational system, where some black people say, I'd rather my kids go to the white university or the white college instead of going to a black school or a black university. I have seen this a lot. We have this behavior, even in the Muslim community. African American Muslims, I've seen this. I'd rather go to the Arab masjid instead of going to the African American masjid. I have seen this. I have seen this. And you go to the African American masjid, the Imam Hafiz, Imam has potential. But I'd rather go to the Arab masjid or the Desi Muslim masjid instead of going to the masjid of my own people. Even though in Islam, any masjid, a Muslim could walk in any type of masjid in Islam. But he will have a preference over somebody else because he dislike and have a disdain for his own people. We have a lot of this type of thinking. This is part of some of the psyche of black people. They choose their enemy over their own. They choose their competitor over their own people. We have this on the business level. We have this also on the intellectual level. We have this even as on a religious or spiritual level in the African American Muslim community, from the Salafi movement or the Neo-Salafi movement. You have those who prefer the sheikh only from Saudi Arabia, but won't take from the African sheikh who was on the same belief and same minhaj. They would rather go to the sheikh in Saudi Arabia that is not known, has no authority in Saudi Arabia, and is not recognized as a big scholar. They would take that person over his own sheikh where he lived. And I've seen this in the African American Muslim community. I have seen this with the Salafi community in America. I have seen somebody go to some student of knowledge from Egypt because he's Egyptian. And then we have overtaken a brother from our community as his PhD in Islamic sciences. And calling the student of knowledge in Egypt, who's like in his early 20s, calling him Sheikh. He's just a student of knowledge. Everybody in Egypt got some BA or a master's in all Islamic subjects. Everybody have that in Egypt. Everybody have that. Everybody in Egypt has that. You know how many students come out of Ashar University every year? You know, Ashar is not like in one location. Ashar is in every city in Egypt. Have a university in every city. Have high school in every city. Then on top of that, Egypt have other universities. There are religious universities outside of Ashar, which is flooded all over Egypt. Everybody and their mama got a bachelor degree in any Islamic science in Egypt. And everybody in Egypt, all scholars in Egypt, don't see all of them as being big sheikh. And I can remember an African American brother in New York who was running to some student of knowledge from Egypt who have his BA over some brother in America who have his PhD from Medina University. This is the inappropriate behavior, the white man ISIS better syndrome. And here, and we come to Islam and African American and Muslims, especially the Salafi community, the neo Salafi community, we got a lot of this stuff in our community also. And then we have then on top of that, the layman Muslims in the neo Salafi movement make up their own principles for this stuff. And then they want other people to follow through or follow these principles. We have this type of thinking in our community. Even though we might recognize, yeah, what I'm saying, even though some of you will recognize what I'm saying and notice these things, still have this attitude with them. Still have this attitude with them. Still have this attitude with them. And it's a sad thing. It's a very sad thing. Then we have individuals in our community, in the African American Muslim community, who have no type of consciousness about competitiveness and doing business for their own peoples or doing things that benefit their own people. When it comes to Islamic education, when it comes to business and business transaction, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to empowering themselves with Islam. And because we don't have this consciousness and we have these inappropriate behaviors that put our peoples back and doesn't benefit the black community as a whole, that's why anybody from outside could come and take over your programs. That's why any outsider could come to your community, to your masjid, and take it over. Because this is the majority of the mind setting of the people in your black communities. Anybody from outside could come, and nobody knowing nothing about them can have more value than the same brother who look like you can have more value. And you would take everything this outsider say without looking at where he come from, who he is. Rather yet, you will look at the own black person you know and ask them these questions. But the outsiders, you won't ask them that. You don't even think about what is his intention. You only have evil intention for your own people who look like you. And that's why outsiders could come in your communities and take it over. I see this in many places in the African American Muslim community. Where the outsider come, the Muslim from outside doesn't have your people's interests, come and take over your whole community. Seen this many times. Take over masjids, take over your masjids, take over your masjid. And sometimes they take over your community, not just because of the blacks in your community having this inappropriate behavior, but you're also dropping your responsibilities. You're shirking your responsibilities. as a community. So that means that some form or some fashion, people don't got no money. So you can't maintain the masses. So the outsider come and say, yo, we got money. Let's go take that, let's take that joint over for ourselves. And they take it over. Oh, look, they're arguing, debating with each other. They fighting, debating each other. Let's go and enter. And they end up taking over because you got the self-hate and y'all fighting each other. Or the one from your community who has the knowledge, you devalue his knowledge because he's black. So the outsider who have no potentials could come in your community and take it over. I ain't no sellout Sambo. We need to stop being sellouts and this type of behavior. This type of behavior is a reason why in our community, especially in the African American Muslim community, why we have not gone ahead as a community. And I'm not talking about individual communities that are doing good. No. I'm talking about the black African American Muslim community as a whole. We got nothing to show for Islam in America. We got nothing to show as a community. We have nothing to show because we have these inappropriate behaviors even when it comes to Islam. Especially you can see it more in the neo-Salafi communities in America. You got the African American Muslims who follow Salafi publication in the UK. They got some jahil, ignorant, who didn't study, they don't have no degree in Islam. Abu Khadija have no degree in Islam, have no degree. He run their whole program from the UK. And I got the texts and the screenshots from his Instagram, from his Twitter, where he's calling the shots and telling you guys, don't do this, you must do this. I'm like, this guy from the UK, he's jahil. Some of you guys got your bachelor's degree in Islamic sciences. And this guy who got no potentials, no credentials, none, no Islam, he's running your whole community from the UK. You are shambles, you are sellouts. And that's the reality of following cults, and that's for them, for SP and people who follow SP. They got somebody from the UK who got no credentials telling them what to do. This is how deep the psyche of the African Americans. Even when we come to religion and we come to Islam or any religion we claim or following, we can see these things still exist with us. The inferiority complex, the self-hate, where the outsider could come and run your show and run your community, and you got no say-so. You guys, SP, you guys are clowns. Germantown mass shit, all of you, your satellite can be your clowns. You guys are clowns. And we have this type of thinking and behavior not only in their community, rather yet their community right now is a good example of that. But we still have that with the African American Muslims, especially those brothers and sisters who following after the Saudi government. And I don't got no issue with Saudi Mashaykh and Saudi scholars. I have no issue with them. I have no issue. But some of you guys think these are the only scholars in the Muslim world. Half of you guys think that these are the only scholars in the Muslim world that have value. Saudi Arabia, a good 60 years ago, did not exist. Saudi Arabia 60 years ago did not exist. Where did Islamic scholarship come from? Where did Islamic scholarship come from? Islamic scholarship didn't start with Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab. Out of due respect, Salafiyya didn't start with Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab. Scholarship in Islam and about Tawheed and the correct Tawheed and the correct Aqidah did not start with Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab. Matter of fact, Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab didn't get the knowledge or the greater knowledge that he got, or the greater insight in Islamic knowledge. He didn't get it from Jazira Arabiya. He didn't get it from Jazira Arabiya. And if you study his bio, you'll find that he moved to other places like Iraq and other scholars in the Muslim world, that he traveled to them and he learned knowledge, meaning that it wasn't in Jazira Arabiya. what is known today as Saudi Arabia. He traveled outside the Jazeera Arabia to get this knowledge, which means Jazeera Arabia, the Arabian Peninsula. So Islamic scholarship didn't start in Saudi Arabia. And then when they decided to build their Islamic universities in Saudi Arabia, a lot of the scholars that were working in their university in Saudi came from Al Azhar University in Egypt, came from Morocco. The Islamic scholarship of Morocco and Sudan, to this day. To this day. The only difference the Saudi did, the Azhari, he just don't teach Aqidah. He could teach Nahu, Sarf, Balagha, Fiqh, like this, Tafsir, like this. And if you go look at some of the big mashayikh today in Saudi Arabia, like Sheikh Salih Fawzan, Hafidhullah, Sheikh Salih Fawzan, and his list of his teachers, you have a whole bunch of them that come from Azhar University. You have a whole bunch of them that come from Azhar University. So for you guys who talking about only Saudi, you know, Islamic scholarship, where your thinking come from? Where does this thinking come from? Does this thinking come from Quran? فَاسْأَلْ أَخْرُ ذِكْرَ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ هل قال الله سبحانه وتعالى آخر ذكر في صادي بس في صادي بس في صادي فقط أحد كلام الله الله فاسأل آخر ذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون معنى في أي مكان آخر ذكر أي مكان آخر ذكر. It's not restricted to Saudi. So we have this type of behavior in our community. We have this type of thinking in our community. And if the African American, you notice when they don't deal with the self-hate, the psychological effect of slavery and racism and white supremacy, no matter where they go in life, whether it's academics, whether it's religion, we could see the effects of the self-hate and white supremacy and the self-hate and the inferior complex. We can see it wherever you go, whether it's Christianity, the black man still in Christianity worshiping white Jesus. The African American Muslims putting Arabs and Asian Muslims in a statue that doesn't belong to them, that doesn't befit them. Even when it comes to making hijrah, for many years in the Muslim Salafi community, let's make hijrah to Saudi, make hijrah to the Arab country. As the Arab countries are the only Muslim country in the world. You got Muslim countries in Africa. You got Muslim countries in Asia. But to them, hijrah was only to the Arabs. And that shows the effects of the self-hate. No matter wherever the black man goes, if he does not fix his self-hate and inferior complex, no matter where he goes, no matter what religion he claims, he's always going to have problems. The self-hate is going to affect how he understands. They call it the educated Negro who goes through the Eurocentric education system or any type of education system, and he doesn't have an understanding of self. He becomes miseducated. His education doesn't benefit him and his condition and his peoples because he have no identity of self. And the self-hate still exists. So wherever he goes to, whether it's the Islam or the academia, you notice that his peoples are still not benefiting because he does not deal with his identity crisis, the self-hate, and systemic racism. The white man ice is better. The white man version of Islam is the Arab version of Islam is the best. The Asian version of Islam is the best. Black Christians practice the same thing. The white European version of Christianity is the only in the best. That's why they're worshiping the white Jesus. African American Muslim, he's like, he don't know. He don't know. He don't know. I had a conversation with a brother yesterday, and he's telling me how in his community, that some of its members who happen to be black are taking sides with the oppressors and oppressing black people. And the brother described the situation to me. And I said that, and I said to the brother, there's some issues with that. But first, you have to ask, because I know how these masters are. The African American Muslim don't have a mind for himself, and he doesn't run the financial part of the masjid. So even though the blacks are going there, somebody who don't look like them is running the community because they have the money, and they're doing things in the community that is either harming the black community or not considering them at all. In this case, the brother was telling me this board member, whatever, wants to allow the police to see the cameras in their masjid. I said, they're going to assist them. Why? Why is this? They want to assist them in spying on Muslims. And I said to the brother very clearly, I said, do you go to the community board meeting? Police have community board meetings. No one in the community go to community board meetings. Then I said, you don't know what the concern of the people in your community. I said, either the police is lying or they want to see what's going on. They said the police claim they want to see what's going on outside the masjid in the areas, in the bad area. I said, are people in your area complaining about crime? He's like, no. He said one of the members want them to do this. And he told the person he not allow the police to do this. And this is the stuff that we go through because we are off code. These are part of the inappropriate behavior. When somebody said, yeah, let's bring the police to the spot. I asked, is y'all part of the community board? Then y'all know exactly what's going on. No one in the community is part of the community board. So that means they don't care what's going on actually in the black community as the masjid. They don't care what's going on in the community. That's why they don't want to go to the community board meetings. And that's where the members of the community are there complaining to the police what are the problems and what the police want them to do. I said, if y'all don't go to the community, then you don't know. Maybe the people in the community are complaining about crime. And they're forcing the police to do so. Or because you don't go to the meeting, you don't know. So maybe the police know you don't go to the meetings. And they come to your master, oh, let us see in your camera. Because they don't know you don't come to the meetings. So you don't know what's going on. This is the inappropriate behavior that the African American Muslims we have in many of the communities. Not all. Not all. Not all. These are the inappropriate behavior that blacks have who are Muslim. This is part of inappropriate behavior. Won't benefit. Because if you said yes, maybe the police been spying on the people in your community. Maybe really maybe there isn't no crime. The police just want to spy. Or maybe there is crime and the communities have an effort trying to get rid of the crime and the police is assisting them, but you don't know because you don't go to the community board member. The community meetings in the community where you live. Because you're not concerned with the black peoples where you have these masjids in the black hood. You're not concerned. This is called inappropriate behavior. And we find, and the reason why these behavior exists from Black African Americans, because we think lesser of the next Black person. I read you. I read you from what Dr. Claude Anderson said. I read you. I read it to you. He said what? Their inappropriate behavior patterns stem from distorted versions. I'm sorry, that's what I want to read. Here we go. Let's read from here. He said their inappropriate behavior pattern stems from distorted visions. They are conditioned to be colorblind. They neither see nor want to be Black. Right? He said the perspective cause of inappropriate behavior patterns, the behavior patterns de-empower rather than empower Black people. In a society based on white supremacy, it is inappropriate behavior when a Black person participate in their own destruction and exploitation. He said here, these are many types of inappropriate behavior, ranging from the classic Sambo, as Sambo is a Black person who portrays his own race and gains personal profit. Right? He said the individual or group is inclined to compete among themselves and ally with outsiders rather than allying with members of their own group to compete against outsiders. Rather, yeah, we let the outsiders come inside our community. We got the same behavior amongst the African American Muslims in the Muslim community. The outsiders run everything. And you think little of yourself, inferior complex, it's better for the outsider to do it than us. If you don't have a good understanding of self, no matter where the African American goes, education, academics, religion, business, politics, entertainment, if you have these inappropriate behaviors and this inferiority complex, this self-hate, no matter where you go, you're going to cause problem and harm other Black people. And for all the African American Muslims, I ask you today, where are those who continuing the work of Malcolm X? Where are those? We should have people in our community, if you was doing right, bigger than Malcolm X. Doing more than him. Where in African American Muslims? Where are our institutions? Where are our financial institutions? Where are our medical institutions? Where are our academic institutions? Where are our religious institutions? Where are our financial institutions? We have none. What are we contributing to the Black society where we live in America? What are we contributing even to the Muslim society? You name me a Muslim from a Muslim country, a Muslim or a particular Muslim from a particular country, I can show you what they help the Muslim world with and the world as a whole. Math, algebra, Arab, Muslim. Science, chemistry, from Kemet. This is an Arab Muslim. trade, business, Arab Muslims, Indian Muslims, Asian Muslims. Matter of fact, every society that Islam came to, it empowered the people. The African American Muslim, we're not using Islam to empower us because we haven't got rid of the inferiority complex and the self-hate. I can show you everywhere in the history where the Muslim went, it empowered the peoples. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came with the Islam and empowered the Arabs over the non-Arabs. Islam went to what? India. And the Muslims ruled India. Islam went to China. Islam went to China through the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam cousin. And the Muslim ruled China. China has Chinese dynasties that rule China. At least 2 to 3 dynasties, Muslim dynasties. That's why the Chinese don't like the Muslims. That's why you see in the news about the Chinese government in China oppressing the Muslim, because they know they don't want the Muslims to get back in power. Before the communists had power, the Muslim had power in China. That's why the Chinese communist government was fight Muslims, well known in history, because the Muslims in China ruled the government from certain parts of history. Wherever the Islam went, it empowered the peoples. Islam went to Egypt and empowered the peoples. Islam went to Morocco and empowered the peoples. Islam went to Africa, Senegal, Gambia, West Africa, East Africa, and empowered the peoples. Wherever the Islam went, it empowered the peoples. Muslims ran India. When Islam went to India, the Muslims end up getting the power in India. Wherever the Islam went, it empowered the peoples. Where is Islam empowering the African American Muslim? Why is it not empowering us? Because we still have these inferiority complex. We still have this inferiority complex. Enough of my rant. If you like the channel, please click like and share. And if you want to donate something, you can definitely hit me off at my Cash App. That is Islam's Finest at Cash App. Or if you want, you can always hit me off at PayPal, right? But everything's in the description. Also, next week, we're going to have a talk. It's going to be on how to take your salary from your job to start your own business. And this will be with one of the sisters I interviewed who was talking about business management. Our sister will have a master's degree in accounting. It will be by her. And we will be doing a fundraiser for Black American Muslim Opinions. As I keep on saying, I have some goals in YouTube and social media is not my goals. I'm not a YouTuber. I don't care about the algorithm. I don't care about the views. Only using it as a tool. Don't care about getting views. Don't care about being monetizing. So, inshallah, I will put out some flyers on Facebook. And if you want to know the actual date, you could go to blackAmericanMuslimOpinions.com and you could go to the homepage and you could sign up for our newsletter. So the date when we're going to start, inshallah, it might be on a Thursday. I will give a couple of days advance notice. But if you sign up to the newsletter, I could definitely email you. I'm going to email everybody out on the newsletter when we're going to have the actual conference, right? This is going to be like a donation, a fundraiser conference with a lecture on how to take your job and flip it into a business, right? So inshallah, whoever wants to know about the exact date, you can either follow me on Facebook or you could go to Black American Muslim Opinions and you can subscribe to our newsletter and I will send out updates when we're going to start. Thank you.